With that, Ricardo, I'm going to turn it over to you. I see you have your video on, so I'm going to put you front and center.
Of course, yeah. I know we all turn our videos on when we do meetings. That's I
I
just
did not.
so yeah, Ricardo Wilkins here, CSM. I cover state of Ohio, state of West Virginia, and some cities and counties as well. And yeah, what I'm going to talk about today is the mobile experience. If I would not be totally surprised if you say, yes, I'm a Teams user, but I've never used a mobile device. I would not be surprised. However, if you aren't incorporating the mobile app into your Teams experience, you're not living your best life, essentially. And I just say that jokingly, but there is a lot of functionality that the mobile app brings. Hopefully, I can show you that here, and you can find some use for it. So that's what I'm going to do today. And so definitely feel free to throw questions in the Q&A as I go along, but let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we will jump right in. Give me one sec. Okay. And of course, we need to send this over. All right. So what we're looking at here really is two things. On this side here, on the I guess the left side, we've got my GCC demo environment, but on the right, we've also got my mobile phone being cast, over to the side here, so that we can see these things easily. And so, what I'll do, I may kind of jump back and forth between the two experiences. Hopefully, though, you kind of get what's happening here. You'll see desktop kind of activities on the left and mobile on the right. So for a moment here, let me just talk a little bit about the mobile experience here and kind of go through the buttons. But in general, I would say, the mobile is trying to be an additional device. Teams is very, device friendly. So whether it's your desktop, your tablet, your mobile phone, your Surface Hub, Teams can work across a lot. And Microsoft 365 is happy to help you with that multi-device experience as well. The mobile app really plays nicely into that. As you can see from this little slide here, everything from our calls and meetings and other things as well, as we kind of will dive into it. So I'll kind of minimize that for a second, and let's focus on the right-hand side for the app. So this is the Teams app. This happens to be an Android phone. There is also a iOS app as well. And I just have it, initially here on the Teams button here. So this should look familiar to what you would have in the desktop, just showing all your teams and all your channels. But what I'll do is start with these buttons down below, and I just gonna go from left to right to just give us a little overview of the mobile experience. We'll certainly talk about today's theme is really the after the meeting. So I am going to focus some of the scenarios to after the meeting experiences. But again, we definitely want to just get on the same page in terms of what the app is, what it can do. So I'm starting over here by clicking the activity feed. It should look very similar to what you would see in the desktop app, right? So I'm just seeing the things. Not too much is happening for me here, but I'm just seeing some of the things like conversations and things that are there. So I get that with one click. The next button is the chat. And so these are all the chat conversations that I'm having. To me, this is one that fits real nicely with the phone experience, right? Because this is, depending on what you use, this is very similar to, just seeing my text messages, right? And so here the administrators all excited about, the 1,000 way meetings that have launched in GCC, and I could go ahead and reply, right in here, and it very similar to what would have occurred, if this was just a text message. But of course, I'm just a click away from turning this into a video call, as you can kind of see here at the top, and and doing other things in terms of files and whatnot. And we'll dive into some of that in a sec. But again, that second button there is chat, so that should be pretty familiar. Both individual as well as group chat. You can see here Project X with several participants in that one. And then as I go over again, we were on the Teams area, but again, I've got my teams. I have the ability to collapse and expand them if I want to see channels and whatnot. I have my pinned channels there as well, but I can certainly go into any particular channel and start to access the content from that particular team, posts, files, even some of the other tabs that are there as well. Okay, we'll come back to some of that too. The next button would be the calendar button. So as you would expect, calendar view, as you might expect, too, it is, kind of, it's made for that profile view. So certainly in our desktop, we're kind of used to seeing all the days going across, horizontally. For this one, being that it's profile or vertical, it's designed that way. So we see our meetings, see our easy ability to join a meeting that's coming up with the join button there, and the ability to create new meetings with that plus symbol. Okay. And then if I keep going over, we have the calls button. And this one is could be a little complicated depending on what you have enabled or deployed in your Teams environment. What we're looking at here, even though it's a phone symbol and it's called calls, this is essentially my client-to-client calls with Nestor and Deborah and so forth. This isn't necessarily a calling plan or phone system kind of call. And if those things are familiar to you, in a nutshell, Teams can certainly be used as your soft phone to actually make a call from Teams to someone's cell phone. And this would certainly be the tab for that as well. What we're seeing, I won't be going into that, but what we're seeing here is essentially mostly, client to client calls per se. So, it may be worth calling them something else like video chats or something, but hopefully that makes sense. But certainly I am a click away from these individuals from making a call to them here. And of course, this call button here would bring up a dial pad. Again, this dial pad, depending on what if you've got calling plans and phone system, installed, this could act, make a call, to a cell phone if needed. And then the last one on the side here is the more button, where more things would show. And so let's take a look, at least here, what I happen to have. Your experience is certainly going to be different, as we've been saying. You can see, for instance, I've got a lot of third-party apps here. In this GCC tenant, I have enabled them and are using them. These GCC users are using these apps. You may not see them if your tenant has not enabled them. But in this case, I've got a few things going on. I've also got, from a native, I guess, perspective, the camera button there, which we will go into in a sec. Files button, similar to the files in your desktop experience. Shifts and saved posts as well. So those are all, native, Teams things. The other thing I have in here that you may be looking at and wondering what that is, let's say, for instance, this intranet 1. If I click that, what this is a pinned intranet that you can do in your desktop app. And in fact, I'll go ahead and bring it up here on the left side too. You'll see it in my desktop app. It's up here in the top corner. And this can take your users to their intranet. This is a relatively easy thing to do. It is, you need to enable custom apps and things like that. But I mean, literally, I've seen this done in 15 minutes. And in those few minutes, you can then have one-click access to your intranet. You can see here, this is essentially just a SharePoint Online site, but it's nicely integrated into Teams. And so even on the mobile version, also nicely integrated with the site being responsively designed. It knows that it's now in this portrait form factor, so you can just compare the two, right? You can see that it's nicely putting these items in a way that looks good when scrolling on a phone screen. So we can do that in the desktop app as well. I also, as part of this Intranet pinning added another another tab related to, in this case, maybe submitting a help desk ticket or something, but this is just a Microsoft Forms form. Obviously, based on the amount of creativity I put into this, I certainly created this in probably 30 seconds. But yeah, within 30 seconds, I could make a form, and within a few more minutes, add that tab to this, intranet pinning button, and then, we've got all this functionality. I mean, I could add more tabs as we go along. So that's, that's kind of a different conversation, but, it's nice to know that that functionality is available and does work in the mobile as well. Okay. So that's the more button, and we'll kind of go through some things. You can see that I can reorder some of these as well, but I did want to just kind of go through the basics of the buttons down below. And then if I click on, my face here, I do have some things related to my settings, which we'll talk about in a sec as well. I want to go through the basics there, and if there are any Q&A questions out there, let me know, but I'll keep going. So
you are dazzling them. There are no questions at this point.
Awesome. They're either asleep because I'm the last session of the day, or
we saved the best for last, so it's not that.
Well, hey, Ricardo, I'll get a little controversial with you and wake people up. So a lot of the pushback I hear about mobile is that you don't have a policy for mobile apps, and you don't want to pay for internet services for people who don't. We can't give them phones. And this is really for people who are out always mobile, like caseworkers or water and transportation workers, or a lot of people out in the field. And what I'm seeing happening when I'm talking to those people in the field is they're using WhatsApp, or they're using iMessage, or they're taking pictures on their home phones and uploading them when they get to the office, or when they get to the truck, or somehow whenever they get stable and have time, which takes them about 45 minutes to just transfer that information. So one of the things I generally share about mobility, especially for people in the field, is that the instant you take a picture from a Teams app, it's in SharePoint. And not only does that save time for the person who doesn't want those photos on their phone in the first place, it's a secure envelope that keeps all that information wrapped up in all the security policies of SharePoint. So even though you might have to work through the policy aspect and the budgeting for, whether you want to make your internet service reimbursement a policy or not, most of the people I have met who are doing these jobs want to use their phones to get their work done. They're using personal devices and random insecure apps to be safe and to get time back. So I just think, on their behalf, I want to beg everyone to consider, thinking everyone wants to be mobile, not just people in offices. So
yeah, absolutely. The phone, the Teams app plays in the same nice, security and compliance space as the rest of the Office 365 apps play. So yes, that confidence of knowing I'm using an app that's, sanctioned by my IT, that's, part of a, best of breed, secure, cloud, all of those great things. That is a good piece. And to your point with the photos, I will show that here today. Taking those photos, storing them securely, and not storing them on your local device. If it is a bring your own device kind of a situation, that is another good advantage as well.
I couldn't agree more on that last point to you and Laura, because especially in a privacy, public safety scenario, you might be taking pictures of a scene that needs to remain confidential, and you don't want it showing up on your camera roll on a personal device. So I've seen a lot of positive responses around that point. And then too, the walkie-talkie piece for Android, allowing that push to talk, is super nice feature as well.
Absolutely. So that's great. Yeah. So if there are questions or comments out there, keep them coming. Certainly want this to be as interactive as possible. So we've kind of done the high level tour of the mobile app. Let's start to get into some scenarios here, particularly as it relates to meetings and that after the meeting experience. And so one would be, we talked about having meetings and having recorded the meetings, and we just saw even today about how to see those meetings. Can we do that on our mobile device as well? So as you probably can guess, the answer is yes, otherwise I wouldn't bring it up. But let's go here to audit planning. I believe this kickoff meeting here has the recording, a recording in it. That was the wrong meeting. Let's see here. Is it the weekly project meeting? Go to chat. There it is. So there is a recording there. Hit the play button. Again, still on my mobile device. Stream is working behind the scenes. But in a sec, I'll see a pretty boring video. I think it's just, black. Yeah. But this is the recording occurring, in my Teams or in my mobile app. So yes, I can view the recordings, and yes, I can with that button there, go ahead and open it up. There is a Stream app as well. And so this conveniently takes me over to Stream. In fact, you can kind of see here some of the other meetings that are there. And then of course, because I hit that button, it's taking me right to that particular meeting, or I could certainly view it, but I could also, engage in the chat that might be occurring in Stream, add it to a watch list, all those kind of things. So, the fact that we're talking about the Teams app, is great, but it's the power of there's a whole suite of apps across the O365 platform, and they all play together very nicely. Hopefully you see that as we demo this, as I kind of jump between apps. So even that one there, the connection between Teams and Stream, hopefully looked pretty fluid to you as we did that. So I'm hitting the back button. Yeah, go ahead.
There is a question: how do you transfer a meeting from your desktop to your mobile client and then back to your desktop? We'll start with that one.
Yeah, everybody, you all are kind of, I guess I'm going too slow because these are all the things that I've got on my list here. I'm certainly going to show that here in a sec.
Well, how about this one? What are the benefits of an intranet or establishing an intranet? I'm sure you have a thought around it.
Yeah, so I think that's questions coming from the fact, what's the big deal of having this intranet button here, right? One, I'd say depending on your experience with your intranet, whether as an end user or maybe not even as a content owner of your intranet, I think many would argue I've been doing, SharePoint and whatnot for a long time. And so I've been around intranets a long time. Many folks struggle with getting their end users to go to that intranet, to use it actively. Certainly the more good content you have there, the better, the more sticky it's going to be. But one good way to get them there is to make it as easy as possible to get there. So this idea that, being 1 or 2 clicks away, and particularly here, pulling the device out of my pocket and in a couple of clicks, seeing the intranet, seeing what the latest content is for my organization, is the value there. And so, it becomes it's a one-to-many kind of a thing where you can produce content often in a very elegant way. I mean, this one is relatively simple. I didn't make too many modifications, but this could have very elegant looking articles and splashy content. And to have all those things 1 or 2 clicks away, I think is the value. So, I mean, again, the folks on this line know I'm a big SharePoint. I could talk about this all day, but I'll try to contain myself
and
there.
Especially in the hybrid scenario we're all in now, that's a way to really make sure everybody knows all of the company's information also, right? Like right at their fingertips.
Right.
There's a question: how do I connect my M365 to my phone, and does it interfere with my Google account? And will I need to have permission from company IT?
So I don't know about it interfering with Google. I will say this phone that I'm using, Android phone, it actually is an old phone and has a Google account in it. I was able to set this all up and not break anything, there. So maybe that's the answer, at least through experience, the answer to that question. Getting started was essentially just downloading the app from the phone, the mobile store, in this case, the Android, Play Store, and then putting in my GCC credentials. And that's all I needed. And in fact, those credentials could sit, I could log in with my GCC account, with my other team's account if I have any. And so it works great from that perspective. What does IT need to do anything? I think the answer is maybe it depends. If there is already some mobile device management going on in your org, then maybe they would need to allow it. I certainly have seen customers where there isn't any management going on, and so the app's out there and log in and it's all good. So it just depends on what may be happening in your org. There's certainly capabilities for managing mobile apps in the M365 space.
So basically, you should be able to just download it from Google Play, iTunes, put in your Office 365 username, password, and then, you should be able to move from there.
Right.
I will say it doesn't interfere on my phone with my Google account. Like I have Gmail, a few other things, like it doesn't interfere for me personally, so.
Yeah, and what I maybe can't demo as well is that value of having a device in your pocket that can alert you to what's going on with your work. Now, some of you might think that's a horrible idea, right? I don't want my work so close to me. Others, want to stay connected to their work, and so that's a good thing. So, whatever your preference may be, but yes, you can have this device in your pocket and still get messages from team members and be able to interact with data and things like that. So it could be a benefit.
Awesome. And then the one thing, I don't know if it's more of a comment or a question. There was one user saying nothing happens when I click on the camera from the 3 dots, more options from their Android.
So yeah, I'll let me just be flexible and let's just do that since that question is out there.
Thank
so
you.
I'll click on mine, and you can see that it is showing, it's working. Now, what did happen the first time I did it is that the phone asked me if I wanted to allow the app to have access to my camera. So I did have to say yes to that. So if yours isn't working, maybe you got to go into, the settings of your phone to give the Teams app access to your camera. But yes, this does work here. And if I click, take a picture here, you can see a couple things. So one, obviously it takes the picture, and I've got some options there. One is, for instance, adding another picture, let's say, to this collection. So maybe I'll take another picture of my dusty keyboard here. And so now I've got 2 here, one a little better than the other. I've got some filters ready to go. As you can see there, I can crop some things if needed, right? I'll confirm that. The one that's super cool though is that maybe I'm working on the keyboard team, and I want to call out, hey, this thing, what is this backspace button? I never heard of it. I can annotate on this as well. Rotate, you can see all these different things that I can do. And then when I'm all done, it's going to ask me, where do I want to put this? Maybe I want to send this to a particular person, or maybe there's a particular channel that I want to send this to. And so in this case, I'm sending it to the audit, 2018 audit team. 2 images are in there. I go ahead and hit that there, and now those images are right there in the in that channel. Where they are not is on my phone in the gallery or anything. So I don't have to worry about getting rid of these later, especially if these were maybe sensitive. And hopefully what you could see from that as well, as I kind of go back to the camera. I mean, this is taking full-blown video. So if I am a field worker, I'm at a bridge and I'm trying to show something's going on with this bridge, I can use that. If I'm a caseworker, out, with the client, I can, maybe I need to show the home or the building, or whatever it may be, but I can do that here. And so we haven't really. I'll get into that later about showing this in a meeting through the sharing. But again, that's live video that I can be showing from my phone that anybody in the meeting can be seeing. So yeah, we dipped into the camera here kind of quickly. I'll come back to it in just a sec. But the short answer to your question is yes, it should work as easily as it worked for me. And if it doesn't, maybe check the settings on your phone. So again, if I jump back to that after the meeting experience, I showed we jumped into a previous meeting and watched the recorded video. If I wanted to maybe schedule a follow-up meeting, this just gives us an opportunity to show what it looks like to schedule a meeting. I went to calendar, hit the plus button, and you can see I've got a similar look and feel to what it would be to schedule a meeting in the desktop app. I can, add participants, see whether they're free or not, all of that good stuff. Even making it a channel meeting if need be, and just choosing which channel this is going to be in. So should have capability of, on the fly or, while I'm mobile to go ahead and schedule a meeting with someone. So wanted to show that. And then if I did want to rejoin a meeting, as you can see here, let's say it's let's go with a previous meeting here between this meeting with Ricardo, right? You can see the join button is there, and the join experience looks like this, where I'm deciding how I'm going to join. I'm deciding how my audio needs to be. This is a tricky one for me because I've got so many Bluetooth devices and things like that. But in general, your device is going to be speaker off, and then I go ahead and hit join. And I will, so I've got my desktop client up here as well. Now, hopefully what you noticed, if you were looking carefully, once I'm in my meeting here in the mobile, on the desktop client, it tells me you're in a meeting on another device. Do you want to join on this one? So that sounds cool. Let's go ahead and hit join, and we get a couple options. You're already in this meeting. Do I want to add this device or transfer to this device? Let's go ahead and transfer, and just pay close attention to how seamless and fast this happens. So I'm transferring to this device. It's going to first ask me about my audio and whatnot, and I'm going to go ahead and hit join now. Boom, you can see the meeting was transferred. I am in this meeting. And the reason I kind of say it like that is I've been super impressed. I've seen people transfer from phone. No, I've seen myself actually transfer from desktop to phone in a meeting where someone is talking. And I'm amazed. They're in the middle of a sentence, and I mean, it literally, I don't miss a word between that transfer. It's kind of crazy how seamless that works. So yeah, that was me transferring from phone to desktop. You can see now the phone is aware of that meeting and is asking me the same question. And so this gives me a chance to show something as well. So certainly I can transfer it back, but I can also just add this as a second device. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to check that first button. And so I'm now in here, not as two people, right? I'm still one person, but I'm in on two devices. This device is all muted. It's not really intended to interact. I'm interacting here, but because I am on a second device, one of the ways that people tend to use this is to view chat. Now, this was kind of a workaround, so I could see the chat of this meeting, especially if I was presenting over here and maybe going full screen. This gave me a second screen option to let me still see what chat was occurring and maybe interact with the meeting. The reason I started to hesitate there is because we are soon launching dynamic views, and we're launching, different ways to present PowerPoint, this workaround should be less of a need going forward, because you'll soon be pleasantly surprised at their ability to present PowerPoint and still have full access to participants and chat and all those kind of things. And so, so today, though, this is still a viable way to kind of get access to both your chat as well as your desktop meeting experience. But hopefully what you're really seeing here, though, is that both of my apps are totally aware of what I was doing and where I was doing it, and giving me easy access to switch between the two. Okay. So I'm going to leave it on the desktop, or leave the desktop area. I'm still here on this device. And this will give me a chance to show a few things here. So if I hit the three dots, you can see, for instance, I do have reactions that I can do, and I can raise my hand. The part I wanted to show, though, was the share button. So again, this is me sharing. And in fact, before I do that, just so we can see that, I'm going to go ahead and add a person into this. Let's add Nestor. Oops. My buddy Nestor. So you see, I'm adding a person to the meeting, and I've got Nestor over here, actually. So he'll go ahead and accept. And so now I've got Nestor in the meeting. And this over here on this side is Nestor's Teams client with Ricardo in the meeting. But I just wanted to bring this up so that we can see what Nestor sees when I share. So I'm going to go ahead and do a share of video. You see, I can share PowerPoint, photos, and even my phone screen here. But I'm going to share the video. And so I'm going to, hit start presenting. And you can see here, I mean, this is my live phone, and then that's what Nestor can see. So again, my scenario is about being out in the field, needing to show someone something, on the fly. It could be 100 people or 1,000 people in this meeting seeing what I'm displaying out in the field on my phone. So that's got some pretty good value there. So I'll go ahead and stop presenting there. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and get out of this meeting, because I did just want to show that sharing experience. So I'll leave the meeting here. Meeting's still in progress because Nestor's there. I'll go ahead and let Nestor hang up as well. All right. So that was really rejoining, let's say, or really joining a meeting in general, and seeing some of the experiences there, including transferring between devices, including the second screen. And we also show the photos that you can do with annotation as well, and the sharing of video. So I'll jump back for a minute to this concept again of having this in your pocket and being, a pocket pull away from getting notifications and information. And as I said, for some that might not be the thing you want in your life. I will say that the app does have some good capabilities for managing that. I mean, we do want to be sensitive to your off time. We want to definitely encourage that. So let me just show a little bit about this. I think this is very nice. When I take vacations, I always go into this area and set my quiet time on this device so that it's not blowing up with messages in my pocket while I'm trying to be on vacations, right? So here you can see notifications are on, but you can see from a block notifications perspective, there's this concept of quiet time. Maybe there's daily quiet hours from a certain time of day. Maybe there's types of things you want to block, but not others. Maybe you have whole days. When I take a week off, I go ahead and just click, every single one of these, right, to make them quiet days, and then essentially I get nothing on the phone from my Teams app, as you would expect. So you can just see the notification options here, and again, if you're trying to manage your personal time, especially if this Teams app is on your personal device, just know that you can come in here and adjust these accordingly, so that it works with your schedule.
There is a question you could probably address. Ooh, I'm sorry about that. Assuming when you're in a meeting on both your mobile and your desktop client, it'll show you listed twice in the participant list. Is that correct?
What we just showed, so if you're using that transfer, or if you're using that add a device functionality, you won't be shown twice. It's Teams knows you're in the meeting and also on another device as a second device. So you're only in the meeting once. The other people in the meeting are unaware of you being on multiple devices. You could certainly join a meeting from, I believe you could join a meeting from desktop and join the meeting again from the mobile, and I think you'd be in there twice there. But if we're talking about the add a device functionality, you're only in there once.
I think how I'm interpreting it was if you were on with both, and that type of scenario would be maybe you don't own the license for a dial-in number and you don't have a microphone on your computer or a headset.
Mm-hmm.
You could join on your mobile to hear and speak,
Right.
and then join on the desktop to see it in a larger view.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And in that case, I would, join first on my mobile, and then I would add a device, make the desktop my second screen. So to your point, so I could see that presentation or anything else. But in the scenario you described, I'm thinking, yes, my webcam and my microphone are going to be my phone. So I would make that my primary device in that scenario.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. So that was the quiet hours concept. Wanted to make sure we knew about that, because what I don't want you to do is convince you that this Teams app is great, and then you turn it on and your pocket's vibrating all day, and then you say, this Ricardo guy just ruined my life. I don't want that. So yeah, manage the quiet time with those notifications pieces. Another cool thing about this is, again, leveraging the fact that it's a phone, and leveraging the fact that maybe typing on the phone, while there are certainly, cool ways to do it, swiping and all that. And I know many of you probably are experts at, maybe you type faster on your phone than even your keyboard, but we do have options related to doing audio messages. You can see here with Deborah, I did one earlier, but essentially instead of typing a message into her, which I can certainly, do here, works just fine. And certainly I could use the native voice to text on my phone, as you can kind of see there. But natively, you can see that there is another microphone button there. And this is where I can click and hold it and add an actual, voice memo. We wouldn't hear it here, but essentially I'll just, do that. It's recording what I'm saying and so forth. Let go, and then it's ready to go, right? And I just, hit send, and off it goes to Deborah. So again, I'm out in the field. I'm not trying to fiddle with a keyboard. That could be a very useful piece there. And then certainly Deborah could respond back with text or, however, whatever. But, given that it's a phone, I think that's a useful feature as well, that to be able to do those voice memos as well.
I was multitasking, but somebody asked, can you show how to add it? Matt,
Well, so I do. Yeah, I do. I don't know if they're related, but I see that someone talked about not wanting their personal mobile number showing on the Teams meeting. I don't know if that's related to how to add it, but
you can mask in GCC.
Yeah.
Team dial-in numbers. So if you don't want your personal number showing, it can be be masked.
You have to get with your IT folks for that, I would think, right?
Yes.
But yeah, we have that question about, can you show how to add it? And we're not sure what that is, if you want to maybe put some more clarification in there. Okay.
Is it how to add a device?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the part I did show, which was basically if I, jump into a meeting. So I'm in the meeting now. It's that my desktop knows that I'm there, and in this case, I could add my desktop as a second device, right? But in this case, let's say I transferred, Now this one is off the meeting. Oops. And now gives me the option to add it as a second device. So it's this second big button here, which would make my phone my second device, and my primary would be this meeting here. So hopefully that's the the question. So we're looking now. The question is how to add Adobe Sign for Teams.
Oh.
Okay, that may be outside of my my particular talk. Maybe.
No, I remember now. The person had asked, was it an app in Teams?
Okay.
And it is an available third-party app. You have to have IT turn it on for you, or either for your entire agency, depending on the use case. And then you would add it as a tab at the top of one of your team sites.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. So while we're here in the mobile app, and while we're speaking about, I guess, other apps, you can see I brought up the more here. There's a bunch of stuff going on here. One of them is Shifts. And Shifts, as the name implies, is all about managing from a mobile phone perspective. Is about managing the shifts that I've been added to, or maybe requesting others. You can see here I could request time off here, and things like that. But in thinking about it for a second, but in this case, what I had prepared was my manager added me to a shift. And let's see here, open shifts, or maybe created an open shift. Let's see, trying to think where, maybe I didn't set it up. But had I been added to a shift, I would see my shifts here, and would be able to, add them. And then of course I can request, certain things as well, maybe swapping a shift, maybe offering a shift. So let's say I'm offering up tomorrow. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, I may not be ready for this particular one here, but you can kind of just see from the buttons there, lots of different ways to manage shifts. In the government space, this certainly makes a lot of sense from a retail perspective, who's manning the cash register kind of thing. From a government perspective, I've seen people use it from a go back to work perspective. Let's turn our return to work into shifts. You folks come this week and you folks come next week. I've also seen some folks who are looking at it as their timekeeping system. A lot of times we already have timekeeping systems in place, but I do have some customers looking at it for that as well. So again, there's a whole piece here from the desktop perspective. You can see here, this is what I was trying to get done. I had prepared a shift for Ricardo here at 8 a.m. I'm not sure why it's not showing there. I may have missed a step. Oh, I did miss a step, which was the actually publishing it. So that would explain that, and then it might even update for me here in a sec on the fly. But yeah, from the desktop perspective, this is the view of it. That manager can see all the shifts and make assignments and things like that. And from the end user's perspective, they will see things as well. I'm gonna kind of click off and see if I can see if maybe I'll get an updated view here. Still no. So I must have missed a step here. Oh, it's because it's in the past. That makes a lot of sense too. Yeah. So we won't make this a big shifts demo, but I will just try one more time here to share that guy. Now we got one on a Wednesday, and boom, there it is today. And oops, then I can go into it, swap, all that good stuff. So yeah, I just missed a step there. So, but again, this is the Shifts app, again, as part of the Teams mobile app right there, that little button there. You can even see on activity, those shifts that got published and I got added to are part of my activity feed. What would also be a part of this that I'm not showing are toast notifications. I set my phone to do not disturb just so I don't get any other notifications from other apps that might make this a little awkward. But had I not had that on, those two, for instance, notifications would have come as toast notifications. They'd be a part of my notification list on my drop down and everything. So definitely want to make sure you knew that the toast notifications would work. They're just disabled for this demo purpose. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to show, we got a little more time here, is just kind of pointing out that how nicely this mobile app really plays in the space. You might think, I mean, if you've been doing IT for a while, you remember the days when the mobile apps were not very friendly. We've come a long way, even to the point where document collaboration on the phone can be just as engaging as if you were on your laptop, right? And so we saw earlier in the earlier session about real-time co-authoring. Let's see if we can do that with the phone as well. So I think in the audit planning channel here, we got this PowerPoint there, right? That I can open up and I can see it in, it came up really, really easily. I can see it in all its beauty right in my Teams app. I can hit the little PowerPoint button to actually open the PowerPoint mobile app and also see it there as well. But of course, now I can be in edit mode as well. Now, while I'm editing here on my phone, meanwhile, Nestor, let's see if we go here, Nestor has decided to work on it as well. So here's Nestor's Teams client. He's in the browser. So that's a good point here. Nestor's actually using the browser version of Teams. So that's a good call out, because that, he's opening and editing a document in the browser. He doesn't even need that. If you just paid attention on my mobile phone, it just told me Nestor is now in the document. You can see that Nestor's there, and you can see how responsive this is to his edits. Right. So as he's making edits, I'm seeing them on this side. He sees me in the document. He's not really aware that I'm in the mobile, but kind of what does it matter? We're both in the document. As I'm making, let's say, some edits on my end. Let's I don't know what I want to do here. Let's just add some stuff, right? He's seeing those happen as well. So point I'm making here is even though I'm on the mobile phone, I'm getting work done, right? I'm being productive, and I'm still getting that first class co-authoring experience, with Nestor being here in the document. We're rocking and rolling, and he's pretty much unaware that I happen to be on a mobile phone. So that document collaboration does work. And so I always try to point out with that real-time co-authoring, that is co-authoring across your Teams client, your Office. Nestor could open this document in PowerPoint. So Teams client, Office client apps, the phone, and the browser. If you have 4 people each doing it those 4 different ways, they would all get this experience. So that can be pretty useful. I can also hit the play button to, do slideshows and all that good stuff. So we're rocking and rolling there. Okay. So again, just because I'm on a mobile phone, I'm not crippled other than the small screen and on-screen keyboard, but I'm not really crippled in terms of accessing this document, working with my colleagues and so forth. And again, Files tab, I still have access to that, so you can see those documents are there. Here's a Word document. Again, small screen, but I'm pinching and zooming here with my 2 fingers, moving things around there. Hit the button and I can open that in the full Word doc as well if I want to do some edits and some real-time co-authoring. All right, so we're getting things done there as well. Okay. And then from the perspective of the other things, right, we mentioned earlier about Planner You can see here in this particular one, there is a tab. Obviously, these tabs look different than they would in the desktop client, but I do have a Planner tab there, which I'm opening. I do have the Planner app on this phone. And so we'll see here in a sec that we'll get that Planner experience where I can, use my finger to scroll through and see. I can even use my finger to, move these cards, to different buckets if needed. So I'm fully able to work here in this as well. Okay. I didn't even leave the Teams app for that, but I could have, used the Planner app as well and gotten it done that way as well. Okay. So hopefully that does show, some of those main capabilities. Hopefully you're kind of convinced that your Teams mobile app could be a powerful ally in your slew of devices and the different options that you might have for joining a meeting, for collaborating after the meeting as well. Again, my meetings are either here in chat or are embedded within the Teams. Even to the point, I'll kind of come here to this, let's say this meeting blitz planning piece. I'm actually going to join it from Nestor, and it's not Nestor. Oh, it is Nestor. Okay, so I'll join it here, and I just wanted to show as we look at the app. Once he's in there in this particular meeting, I should, unless I hit the wrong thing. Normally I would see the little camera button kind of showing that this meeting is in progress. I may have missed a step here. It may actually be waiting for a second person to join. Let me just see what we got here. Yeah, so I'm seeing, okay, actually that's what the problem is. I was looking at the wrong thing. All right, so it was an audit planning that he joined. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show that there. This gives me a visual indication that there's a channel meeting going on. I can click it, I can join it. I think that may be me, I'm not sure. I'm confusing myself at this point, but you can see that indicator there of that meeting being in progress. Again, all is happening by way of my phone. So yeah, that's Nestor in there. So let me get him out of there real quick. Yeah, there we go. So again, hopefully I was able to really show there that the phone experience can be a good one, and it will really get us some good work done there. I don't know if there's any additional questions in Q&A that I missed throughout this.
There are no additional questions. I think you've showed a lot of great content and really showcased the value of the mobile client. I also love how consistent it is from the web to the desktop client to the mobile,
Right.
To the tablet. I mean, it does flow really nicely to help you not have to relearn a new view on whatever way you decide to get your work done.
Absolutely. Yeah, this also would work on a tablet, iPad,
Yep.
Android tablet as well. I didn't show that here, but it's the tablet experience and mobile experience are pretty much the same, just probably a larger area.